Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I will discuss about assignment solution of NPTEL course, that is antenna, in which I will cover the week 1, which is transmission line and waveguide. So let's start. Number 1, question number 1. Polarization of antenna is defined by the trace of dash. So you know the what is polarization? It is the orientation of electric field vector in a space. So polarization is generally governed by electric field vector of EM wave. So the answer is A. Okay. So next, a lambda by 4 long lossless transmission line, which is load impedance ZL is given 200 ohm and power is fed using 50 ohm impedance RF source, that is ZO. So to avoid reflection coefficient to reflection loss, the characteristic impedance needed is dash. So for lambda by 4 transmission line, you know the equation of ZO square, that is characteristic impedance ZO square is equal to Zin multiplied by ZL. So here you have to find the ZO characteristic impedance, that means ZO. So this is given as load impedance ZL and this is 50 ohm RF source, that is given as a Zin. Okay, so you put the value of ZL and Zin in this equation, you will get ZO is equal to 100 ohm, and that is answer number D. Okay. The far field of antenna varies with the distance r as, so the far field which is proportional to the 1 upon distance. So far field is proportional to 1 upon r. So answer is A. Okay, and the near field which is proportional to 1 upon r square. So for far field the answer is 1 by r. Answer is A. Okay. Now next, for line of sight communication, the transmitter and receiver antenna should face each other. If the transmitter antenna is vertically polarized, then the base reception the receiver antenna should be. So for maximum power transfer, whatever the power transmitted from transmit antenna must reach to the receiver antenna if both antenna are same polarized. Okay, if any one antenna is polarized which is other than the previous antenna, then there is impedance mismatch. So if the transmitter antenna is vertically polarized, then the receiver antenna must be vertically polarized. So the answer is C. Okay, vertically polarized. Okay, next, the measured half power beam width HPBW are orthogonal plane are 70 degree and 65 degree. Calculate the directivity of antenna. So you know the directivity equation in the form of 2 half power beam width. So directivity is equal to 41253 divided by theta E theta H. So the theta is given as 70 degree and theta H is given as 65 degree. So both are in radian, both are in degree. So put the values of theta E and theta H in this equation, you will get directivity as 9.6, which is answer number B. Okay, so answer is B, 9.6. Next, the normalized field pattern of antenna is given as 0.5 1 plus cos theta, where theta is the angle measured from broadside direction. So the half power beam width will be dash. So in this example, the normalized field pattern is given to you, that is E normalized, that is equal to 0.5 1 plus cos theta. So if you want to find the angle, then you have to find the value of E normalized. Okay, so E normalized is equal to E divided by E max. So E is given to you 0.5 1 plus cos theta is given to you. You have to find the E max, that is maximum value. So for maximum value, put the theta equal to 90. So cos 90 is equal to 1. Maximum value of cos theta is 1. So 0.5 multiplied by 1 plus 1, so that is give 1. Okay, so E normalized is equal to 0.5 1 plus cos theta. For half power beam width and for broadside direction, the E normalized must be equal to 1 upon root 2. So this 0.5 1 plus cos theta, that is equal to 1 upon root 2. So you find the value of theta, that is 65.5. Okay, and you multiply this 0.5 multiplied by 1 plus cos theta, that will give cos theta 0.41. So C is equal to 65.5. So this is theta. Okay, so answer is C. Next, for square MSA, effective aperture is 25 lambda square. The approximate half power beam width in the E plane is dash. So you know the half power, you know the directivity equation. It is equal to 41253 divided by theta E theta H. Okay, this is the equation of directivity, and another equation of directivity in the form of effective area is 4 pi AE by lambda square. So both are same. Okay, so you in this case you put the theta E and theta H, that is equal to theta. So theta and theta is, that is equal to theta square. So and A is given to you 25 lambda square. So lambda square get cancel out, and you will get the theta is equal to 11.45, and this theta is known as half power beamwidth. So the answer is B, 11.4. Now electric field vector is given E is equal to E1 cos omega t AX plus E2 cos omega t AY. Which one of the following condition for right hand circular polarization exists? So this is the electric field is given to you. For any circular polarization, the AX component magnitude and AY component magnitude both are same. The AX component magnitude is E1 and AY component magnitude is E2. So E1 must be equal to E2. So this is the condition for circular polarization. For right hand circular polarization, this value of alpha, that is equal to minus pi by 2 for right hand circular polarization, and for left hand circular polarization alpha is equal to plus pi by 2. So this satisfy with the condition A, both are magnitude both are same, and alpha is equal to minus pi by 2. Okay, so answer is A. If the reflection coefficient of antenna is 0.3, that is tau is equal to 0.3 at frequency of 900 megahertz, then calculate the value of VSWR. Okay, so you know the VSWR 1 plus tau divided by 1 minus tau. You put the value of tau 0.3, you will get the VSWR as a 1.86. Now again in this two separate questions are given. The power transmitted by antenna. So for power transmitted by antenna, that is equal to 1 minus t square. Okay, that is given over here. Power transmitted is equal to 1 minus t square. So t you have known 0.3. You will calculate, you will get 91% power, and power reflected, that is equal to 100 minus 91. Okay, so that is equal to 9. Or you can calculate from this equation power reflected, that is equal to t square, and t is given to you 0.3. So you will get 9. So answer is C, 0.9. Power reflected is 9%. So answer is C. Now GSM 900 cell tower antenna with 15 dBi gain. So gain is given 15 dBi, transmitting at 20 volt power. So transmitter power is given 20 watt. Frequency band is given 900 to 905 megahertz. The approximate power density at distance of 100 millimeter. So this is range is also given, and you have to find the direct power density. So what is the equation of power density? So power density is equal to PT GT upon 4 pi R square, where PT is transmitted power, GT is transmitter gain, and R is distance between transmitter and receiver. So PT, so transmitter power is given to you 20 watt. Okay, transmitter gain, that is equal to 15 dBi. So if you convert dBi into real value, you will get 10 raised to 1.5. Okay, and R is given as a 100 meter. So you calculate, you will get the value 5 milliwatt per meter square, that is equal to answer B. Okay, so this is answer number B. Next, two identical antenna, transmitting and receiving antenna, both are placed at distance of 2 kilometers. So R is given as 2 kilometer, 2000 meter. If transmitter antenna is transmitted at power of 25 dBm, so this transmitter power is given, frequency is given 10 gigahertz. Okay, received power is also given minus 65 dBm. Approximate gain of each antenna. Okay, so you have this is the question related with link budget, satellite link communication. So the equation is received power is equal to PT GT GR upon 4 pi R by lambda square. Okay, where PT is equal to transmitter power, GT transmitter gain, GR receiver gain, R is the distance between two antenna, and lambda is wavelength. Okay, so transmitter power is given 25 dBn. So okay, so 25 dBn converted into real number, that is 10 raised to 2.5, that will give 316.22 watt. Received power is also given minus 65 dBn, so you convert into real number, so 10 raised to minus 6.5, that will give 3.16 × 10 raised to minus 7. Okay, so now you have to find the gain of both the antenna. So suppose we assuming that both antenna have same gain. So GT is equal to GR is equal to G. So G square. Okay, G multiplied by G, that is G square. So you put the value of PT, PR, R and lambda. So lambda is not given, but frequency is given. So calculate lambda first. C by F, that is equal to 3 multiplied by 10 is to 8 divided by a frequency, that is 10 gigahertz. So 10 multiplied by 10 is to 9. So you will get the gain of 14.2 2. Okay, so that is equal to answer B. Okay, that is equal to in dBi, so 14.2. The diameter of parabolic dish antenna with efficiency eta is equal to 60% for 40 dBi gain. So gain is also given, frequency is given 10 gigahertz, and you are required to find the diameter of antenna. So you know the equation of gain in terms of efficiency and directivity. So gain is equal to eta multiplied by D. Gain is equal to efficiency multiplied by directivity. So efficiency is given to you, but directivity not given. Okay, so you have to find the directivity. So equation of the directivity is 4 pi AE by lambda square. Okay, where A is equal to effective aperture. So for parabolic antenna, effective aperture, that is equal to pi d square by 4, where D is equal to diameter. So put this value of A in this equation, you will get G is equal to, that is gain is 40 dBi, so 10 is to 4, it is in a real number. So 10 is to 4 is equal to efficiency, that is 0.60 multiplied by 4 pi AE, that is pi d square by 4 divided by lambda square. So you put the value of lambda and gain and AE and efficiency, you will get the directivity is, sorry, the diameter is 123.3 centimeter, and that is equal to answer A. Okay, so this is the answer. For omnidirectional antenna, first tunnel beam width FNBW is given as 45 degree in E plane. Approximate directivity in dB is this. So FNBW is given to you, that is 45 degree. Okay, so in order to find out the directivity, you have to find the value of half power beam width, and you know the relation between FNBW and half power beam width, that is FNBW is equal to 2.25 multiplied by half power beam width. Okay, so you put the value of FNBW, you will get half power beam width as 20 degree, that is equal to theta E. Okay, so always remember half power beam width is generally measured from the E plane, so that is equal to theta E. Now you have to find the directivity. So equation of the directivity is 41253 divided by theta E, theta H. So theta E is known to you, 20, but for omnidirectional antenna theta H is not given. So for omnidirectional antenna theta H is taken as 360 degree. Okay, so now you have the value of theta E and theta H. Put the value of theta E and theta H in degree over here. You will get 5.73 as a real number directivity, and converted into 10 log real number, that is equal to 7.6 dB. So the answer is C. Okay. Axial ratio of an antenna is 1.2. It is acceptable for which polarization? So generally axial ratio determines the shape of the radiation pattern, whether it is circular or triangle or sinusoidal or so any. But axial ratio generally for circular polarization antenna, axial ratio is generally equal to 1. Okay, so now this value 1.2, that is nearly equal to 1, so we can consider it as a circular polarization. So the answer is B. Okay, if the distance from antenna is increased by 2 times, then its radiation density will increase or decrease by how many times? So the radiation density equation is Pt upon 4 pi r square. The radiation density, that is equal to power density. So Pd is equal to Pt upon 4 pi r square. So if you increase the distance by 2, that means if r is equal to 2r, okay, so put r is equal to 2r over here, you will get Pd is equal to Pt upon 16 pi r square. Okay, that is equal to Pd1 upon 4. That means whatever the original power density, that is divided by 4 in this case. Okay, so the answer is it is decreased by 4 times. Okay, so this is very simple case. So that's all from my side. I have covered all type of example from NPTEL week 1 course antenna subject, and in each the week 1 is antenna and wave propagation, transmission line and waveguide examples. So I have covered all types of example. In next video I will discuss about week 2, that is all about taper and couplers. So I hope this video information may be beneficial to you for the current NPTEL session as well as for upcoming session. Thank you very much.